Do you know how the Romans used to decorate their armor with partially tin and non-tin surfaces? Do you think they used, for example, graphite, or maybe ochre, or an egg, or milk, or honey? Let's find out. If we think about armor nowadays, we think about functional pieces of armor. We don't think about decoration. And this is just a top example of these highly decorated pieces that are still very functional.
We are walking on top of a Mushov hill, and this site, it was originally a Roman legionary fortress outside of the Roman Empire, where the Germanic tribes were living. And this site was the main fortress that was controlling the neighborhood. And this is also the site where the chest plate was found.
This would have been part of a scale armor, so the body would have been protected by scales. But it's very difficult to put on and take off. And these plates were located just underneath the chin. So it would be able to open and close very easily. So they would have been very easy to get in and out of the armor.
The story behind the find of the chest plate began almost 50 years ago. We don't know where exactly was the chest plate found, but it was definitely on the site of the Mushov by one of the local guys. And it could have happened in one of those vineyards on the slopes of the Mushov hill or somewhere around. And it became one of the most famous finds of the Roman period in the Barbaricum, and especially in Moravia.
So when we started to re-examine this, we saw, of course, what is very obvious is the three-dimensional embossing, which is a very highlight of this piece. But we could also see the faintest evidence of tinning. And we thought that this tin application could have been a type of decoration, but it wasn't just clear. So we wanted to go to the lab to see how much tinning is there. Is it a sort of a decorative pattern? And in the end, we also wanted to know, how was this done by the Romans? They start out with just a sheet of metal, of brass, and they do what is called embossing. So by hammering, they make a three-dimensional shape and make these figures. After we have these figures done, there's even a little bit of punching to get some additional details there. And for example, the 10th Legion symbol was punched in to get extra details. And the last phase of decoration has to do with the partial tinning, the particular phenomenon that we're trying to understand in this particular research. The interesting thing is that we already saw at the artifacts the faint outlines of what we thought was tinning. So first of all, this research confirmed that it was the presence of tin.
The method of micro-XRF is a method that is doing the mapping, which means that it goes spot by spot and it's measuring the whole surface and having the results of a map of different elements. And the best resolution we got, it was a scan that took more than 25 hours. This is a map of distribution of copper. So we can see in the background there is a black color, which means there is no copper. We can see that the plate is made from copper. It's actually brass, but what is most crucial is the distribution of tin on the surface, which we can see here. The tin is in white color, which means there is brighter color, brighter white, there is more tin, which we can see that there are lines, squares, even flowers, and also the backgrounds of the figures depicted on the artifacts are tinned, but the remaining parts were kept untinned, which made a huge contrast in visual perspective.
It's fairly common, but it hasn't been thoroughly investigated, meaning that no one has ever asked the question, how did the Romans actually do this? And what we were able to confirm here through the positions of the lines that we can observe is that it was masked off. So they put something on top of the chest plates, then tinned it, and then removed those parts, and those were left untreated. Now the big question, of course, is how did they do this? But we have this answer already. Oh.
This is smash it like this. We were thinking what was the procedure behind it, how was the process of making such a decoration, and we were brainstorming and thinking what could be the way, and we decided to do some experiments to try out because we were not able to find any literature sources that would be documenting such a method.
We started looking for materials that the Romans would have been familiar with, and also materials that would likely be easily accessible. And we were thinking at the same time, what does really stick? So we were thinking about cooking, for example, and sometimes when you cook and you burn something inside the pan, it's very difficult to remove.
As a base we had a brass sheet which was similar as the original sheet, and we tried to apply different substances. Then we put a sheet of tin which we melt, and the tin needs to be wiped out to create an even layer, and the aim was to get crispy detailed lines that are making a contrast of thin and untinned surface. We have tried several substances to be able to cover the surface, and most of them didn't work. They didn't create the crispy line, they didn't create a nice coverage, they were removed easily, for example. And the one that we have found out that works very nicely is the egg whites that we applied on the surface. This one, Martin, is pretty decent.
Ah, this is pretty. No, it's brilliant.
Yeah, that's fine.
Yeah, I like it.
Me too. Let's do another one.
Yeah. So there is a special way of preparing the egg whites, and we make it into eclair. And you do that by refining the egg white. So you beat it up into a foam, you leave it overnight, and then the liquid is much purer and stronger to be used in our experiments. During our experimentation, we had the best results first with egg whites. But then we did some more research into different types of products, and we saw that all types of animal-based glues would work fantastically. Bone glue, fish glue, rabbit skin glue. These glues have been used in the Middle Ages, and we're pretty sure that the Romans were very much aware of these types of glues as well. One of the interesting conclusions that we can draw is that Roman armor is not necessarily dull. Besides the embossing, it's very colorful, so it gives us an insight of a much more colorful past.
This type of technique that we can see on the Mushov chest plate, we can see all sorts of and a lot of numbers of the armor from Roman period.
That is interesting because we do not only find it on armor, we also find it on vases, and any other types of Roman metal objects were decorated in this fashion. And previously, if you're not looking for it, you don't see it. Once you recognize it, it's very easy to see and unseenable.